Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next round of our podcasts. My name is Jack Ananchenko, and as usual, I'm going to run another episode today. Today's guest is Chris Walker, the founder of Harfi, a UK-based fine jewelry brands built around meaningful gifting and direct-to-consumer distribution. Harfi sells exclusively online and partners with the biggest major retailers in the UK, while also building the Shopify supported ecosystem. Chris started by solving the best and the biggest challenge of all founders, it's sales. Now the shift has gone to operational problems, so scaling internationally, building systems, etc. So we'll talk a little bit more about growth today and your personal day-to-day involvement in the business. Chris, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for the introduction, Jack. I think you summed things up pretty well there in terms of where we're at right now. And yeah, looking forward to chatting to you today.
Yeah, absolutely. So even today on your LinkedIn, I saw the post about like how you want to organize your day-to-day specifically, and you often talk about less talk, more doing.
hmm
Where did that mentally come from?
I guess it's just something I've learned through entrepreneurship. If I could go back and give myself advice when I was first setting out 10 years ago, I think before you start, there's a lot of paralysis, a lot of thinking about how to do things perfectly. But what you realize the further you go is that the only way to learn is by doing and by failing and getting that feedback, that real life feedback, which allows you to grow. So I think progress beats perfection every time.
Absolutely. What was the moment when you realized that Harfi went from the idea to this actually works?
So I was working a normal job just for about 18 months and decided it wasn't for me. I started interviewing at a few startups, and I just got this growing feeling inside myself that, well, why can't I just do this myself?
Hmm.
So Harvey just came. I was bouncing a few ideas around with my partner at the time,
Hmm.
and this was one idea that I thought let's see. So we booked a trip to Morocco. That's how it started. We started interacting with artisans in Morocco. My wife has a Moroccan heritage, and she thought the products over
Okay.
there could do really well over here in the UK, and it would also have this fulfillment side of it that I'd be helping artisan groups in Morocco, which is something I struggled with to this point, just kind of accumulating wealth, what have you, doesn't ultimately make you happy. So I wanted to try and do something that would help other people. So this was sort of two
Hmm.
birds with one stone. So that's how it
Hmm.
started with the trip in Morocco. Came back with a bag of textiles and then started working on the website. And then sort of as things went and as we started building the website and things started moving, that's when the clarity and the vision got more clear.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking back, what was the real hard part in the early days, though?
The hardest part was just not really knowing what you're doing. I think when you first start a business, there's no handbook that really can take you through every step. So you're constantly trying many different things, but you're not sure which of the tasks in front of you are going to have that return. So you go down a lot of dark alleyways where you try something,
Hmm.
it doesn't work, and you feel like there's a lack of momentum. So at the start, there's a lot of the progress is very slow. I think it takes a few years in
Hmm.
entrepreneurship for the compounding effect to really take place. So when you're starting at a low base, everything takes a lot longer than what you'd like. And someone who's quite proud, I think at the start it was difficult that I just wasn't. It takes time to get good at something, so you have to start and learn through your failures, which I've had many along the way.
Yeah, you once said that at some point back in the days, you figured out how to generate sales. What actually cracked sales for you?
Yeah, so it was not a fun problem to have, not making sales, and that's something I struggled with for a couple of years. Um, to be honest. And then what we did was we were spread too thin. We had many different products, just split in too many different directions, and just doing a lot of things to an average level. So we
Hmm.
took a step back. We actually ran some searches on Google, looking at
Hmm.
what products were trending in alignment with what we were doing, and we saw a lot of searches for birthstone jewelry. And at the time, I wasn't really
Hmm.
quite sure what it was, but I saw this huge search, and there wasn't that much supply. So just sort of the basic demand supply, I thought, okay, this is there's data to back this up that we should go down this route. So we introduced jewelry at this point about 3 years in, and this started to work. And so we started removing the other stuff and really start to focus on a more narrow niche and trying to become the best in
Hmm.
that niche rather than going too broad, which was the main mistake we were doing before.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, I'm assuming that the product, like product offering is one thing, niche is the other thing, but then in terms of driving the sales and how to acquire the customers and then actually the visitors of the website, was it ads? Was it retail partnerships? Was it messaging? Was it like social media? Like, what did you try with? What did you test? What failed? What gave you success?
Okay. Oh yeah. So in terms of that, yeah, most things failed, Jack. To be honest, so at the start,
As
Uh,
always.
as always, 99 things fail, but then when you find the one thing that does work, then it doesn't matter about the other ones because you can put your foot down on the accelerator on what does work. But it took us a while to find that return. So we tried Facebook ads, we tried Google ads, we tried all of these different marketing metrics to try and grow our brand. That was our focus. We wanted
Hmm.
control of the customer, we wanted to grow our brand. But then we took a different direction and we said, well, the marketing wasn't working. So I said, well, why don't we partner with let's go after the big retailers. They already have the
Hmm.
marketing behind them. And then also you can start using that marketing engine to make a lot of sales, collect a lot of data, and then
Hmm.
the only metric that really matters is sales. So once you get that data and that sales, that can really help move things going forward and perhaps come back to
Hmm.
growing your own brand later on. So the big change was actually starting to reach out to these big retailers. Like Not on the High Street was one of the first ones we got, which is a big UK brand here, works with small businesses, and then Debenhams, Wolf and Badger. And then the sales started to be a lot more consistent, and we started getting a lot more valuable data about what was working. Um, so that was the big turning point.
I'm assuming that what was the point about what was working was what wasn't was about the product offering, correct? At the time, because you were trying to drive the revenue, and then the brand was the second focus afterwards, right?
So can you just repeat that question again?
So I'm assuming that in the based on what you're saying, that the brand name and the brand itself, the development of it was like what this was on the second plan for you, like the second stage of the development of the business. But the first one that you managed to work out was to go through the retailers and then get feedback about the product offering first, and then just so you can fine tune it and then like continue working on the brand itself.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. So once we got that partnership with the retailers, we realized that actually the product wasn't necessarily the issue. It was
Hmm.
more that we were bringing sort of the incorrect traffic to the website, and they just had more data for their marketing. It was more effective, and then we were able to channel that data to start improving our products. So then you can look at all these nice metrics such as amount of traffic to each page, what's the conversion rate on each page, and then you can really see where the bottlenecks and the problems are, like which
Hmm.
products are successful, or for example, you could see lots of people are going to this product, it's not converting. Is it an issue with the product itself, with the imagery, or the price, or what have you? So you can do a lot of testing. But until you get the
Hmm.
large volume of sales, that's the only data that really matters. So it really helped to get that volume coming in, and then we could start making changes that we were confident were the right things to do because they were supported by the data.
Okay, what were the main metrics they were watching back in the days?
So the main metrics I look at is the number of views, the conversion rate, um, the click-through rate, the number of impressions, and then that really allowed us to focus on, if a product's not converting, we could look at why is that, or if a product is not getting the views, it could be something to do with the messaging or the imagery. So when you look at those points, it allowed us to really narrow down what the issue is and then fine tune it and either improve that product, that offering, or decide this product is not it's not good and we should scrap it and focus on improving and building new products.
Okay, interesting. And okay, once sales are predictable, the challenge changes, right? When did you realize that you were the bottleneck, like your involvement on a daily basis?
But this is just recent. A recent process I've gone through. I think sort of the Christmas was a really busy period, and then over to just now, the end of 2025. So it's really just scraping around, just getting the the sales, sending out orders. But then after that, in January, is the time to really reflect on the business and do think
Mm-hmm.
about rather than being in the business, thinking about being on the business and what you want to do going forward. So I see
Mm-hmm.
there's two paths. You can either go one path, you can be like a solopreneur. You can have a pretty good stress-free life, good revenue, but you'll probably hit around 500,000. You're going to struggle to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can go the other way. You can really go, you want to have a seven, eight figure business. You need to start getting the right people in the right place because there's only so much you
Mm-hmm.
can do with your own time. And if you're trading time for money, there's a limit to how much you can grow. So I decided I want to go for the second option. So since January, I've been looking to find the right people and try and
Mm-hmm.
get um, remove myself now from the day to day and more. Being that I've been there and done it, it does help for managing because I know what the issues are and it
Mm-hmm.
helps me with that. So I decided, yeah, I want to go through that second option, which can be a bit more stressful because a lot more people management, but also ultimately it's going to allow the business to grow.
What roles are you hiring first and why?
Mostly right now it's marketing roles, trying to get now we have the confidence that the products are good and um, yeah, we know they're good with the right marketing, trying to bring specialists in to help bring the right traffic to the website that will convert. So we
Mm-hmm.
brought in a guy to do our Google ads, for example,
Mm-hmm.
and that's improving month on month as the data
Mm-hmm.
increases, bringing in someone to manage our affiliate scheme. Someone's
Mm-hmm.
working in the office with me to help me improve the website. We're going through improving the imagery on the website to try and improve the conversion rate, to trying to hit those metrics, trying to increase the brand by improving the average order value, the conversion rate, and the traffic. So mostly focusing
Uh,
on that.
what have you learned about hiring these new roles for the past 1.5 months, though? Um, any recommendations about what to look at first when you're hiring these kind of people to the team?
In terms of that, so I guess I started taking people on. It was last summer is when I started the process of taking on, and I have
Oh,
started
okay.
scaling things up in January. Yeah, and have learned a lot in terms of people. I think just be very clear about your goals, like specific
Mm-hmm.
about the goals and what you're trying to achieve, and try and put when you get the person, try and make sure you put them in the right place because some people are really good in some areas, not in others, and trying to really understand how to. I think your job as the founder and as the owner, you look at things in a different way, and it's how do we get that return on our time, our return on spend. Whereas other people
Mm-hmm.
generally, the employees want to have a task and they just want to, you tell them what to do the task and then that's it. Whereas I think as a business owner, you
Mm-hmm.
really need to think more commercially about, okay, I need to put this person here and how can we get that return and how can we measure it to make sure that it is value, adding value to your company.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sounds good. And in terms of like these people, are they mostly for the marketing side of things, or do you also need any help with operations and look for the help with operations? Given like for anyone who is listening who doesn't know, Chris has gotten his Estonian residency and is going to expand to Europe first, then probably to the United States. So the question is, do you need any help, or do you plan to explore all of those avenues yourself first and then hire the necessary people afterwards?
Yeah, so yeah, in terms of that, just got our Estonian residency on Monday. Like gone to the embassy, got the
Congrats.
residency. Yeah, thank you. I guess it's kind of yeah a milestone. As now the UK with the Brexit, we aren't able to sell very easily to the rest of Europe because there's import tariffs on from suppliers, and if we send to customers, they might pay tariffs. So this basically allows us now to work in Europe. So in terms of what we're going to do with that, we're going to set up a warehouse in Germany. So there
Hmm.
is a warehouse already there, and so they will be doing sort of the orders, the order management, dispatching. So that would be a step forward because right now in the UK, me and my team, we're dispatching the orders. So now it allows us to scale. We'll be able to get the orders, set things up in the warehouse, and it was just um, yeah, we'll be working with big retailers in Europe who already have the processes in place to allow
Hmm.
us to scale to the next stage.
Interesting. How has Brexit actually affected your operations, though?
In terms of operation, it just means that we don't sell that much into Europe. From a
Mm-hmm.
customer point of view, they're less inclined to buy from the UK because they pay tariffs. And then also, if we want to partner with, so we partner with UK retailers here, such as Debenhams, Wolf& and Badger, etc. If we want to partner with a big European retailer, they do require that you have a European citizenship, and we
Mm-hmm.
have this deal about to go through, and they require the residency. So that's what pushed that
Mm-hmm.
forward. Once we get this now, we can now start, opens up doors for other retailers in Europe to work with, which is a much bigger market than just the UK.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and there are lots of opportunities over there, and that's for sure. And Germany, you mentioned Germany. Why Germany first?
Germany is just where the retailer we're going to work with. They're based in Germany, so they have the
Oh, okay.
warehouse, and we would work on a different model. Like here in the UK, we do the dispatching ourselves, but with the
Mm-hmm.
company we would work with, the order would come through them, and then they'd also manage the logistics. So we'd
Mm-hmm.
partner with them, we'd send our products over there, and then they would send it out. So that would be the first one, and then hopefully we watch how they do it. They do it to a very good level. We can then, if we need to do that in the future, let's say we move into America, we'd have a good idea about how to set up the warehousing process, as this is a new challenge.
Cool. Sounds good. Have you done any research or any recommendations about how to properly choose the next country you're going to expand to?
Well, yeah, right now I haven't, to be honest, because we're just going to focus on this partnership. I think it's going to take
Mm-hmm.
quite a few months to get it off the ground, because we've got the residency, then it'll take a few months to get our stock over there, then it gets listed and it takes a little while to get traction. So first of all, we just want to get that feedback from how it works with this company, see how it's going, and we don't want to take on too many at one go to be overexposed, because then
Mm-hmm.
you have to get all the stock in first before you get your sales.
First order. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you'd have to put a lot in before you get anything out. So first of all, we just want to check with this one. Hopefully, it all goes well, and then if it does, gradually scale up. So more of a gradual process than trying to just do everything in one go.
Cool. Sounds good. What's harder, marketing internationally or logistics internationally?
Um, in terms of what's harder, I think in terms of the marketing internationally, this will be handled by the retailer. So that should be
Mm-hmm.
okay. They will already have their marketing engine. The logistics is something that I think will be quite tricky. And as a
Mm-hmm.
founder, it's really not my favorite thing to do. I like to grow the business, do the business development, lots of sales, but it forces me, I have to become extremely organized because we have
Mm-hmm.
about 800 SKUs, 800 different products. So now every SKU is probably going to have to be barcoded, labeled. Uh, I've got to be very systematic on everything I do and very organized, which
Okay.
yeah, is a different challenge for me because I'm usually doing lots of different things. But I realize now that in order to scale, you have to start implementing processes.
And given that your business is online, is Shopify the only system that supports your kind of like product management and inventory management? Or is there any ERP or warehouse management system that you've got in place?
The only one we use for our website is Shopify, and then there's different ones, different retailers. The larger ones have their own in-house systems. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it's nice if they just you can just use an app or like a integration, and it'll come straight from Shopify. This is great because
Mm-hmm.
then you don't need to do as much work. But with the really
Mm-hmm.
big companies, they have their own systems in place, and they won't bend to what Shopify's doing because they're already big enough. So you have to bend to what they're doing because they have their processes.
Okay. Sounds good. But you currently sell mostly in the UK, and then all of those systems, they basically like they are capable of distributing and keeping track of everything in-house, right? When it comes to the UK business.
In terms of UK, it's all Shopify. In terms of our B2C from our website,
Oh,
everything
okay.
is Shopify.
Gotcha. Okay. Um, Jewelry is discretionary. How do you sell luxury in a struggling economy?
Yeah, this is a challenge we're having right now. As you said rightly, it's a luxury purchase, and we're marked in the gift sector. Our price point is around sort of 75 to £100. So
Mm-hmm.
it's demi fine, not super
Mm-hmm.
like pure gold. Um, but yeah, I think it's around we mark our jewelry as things that will last. So someone buys
Mm-hmm.
our jewelry, it's going to last for a long period of time. So you better don't, one of the issues in the jewelry industry, you buy most thing that the plating might tarnish, the thing might uh, fall apart eventually. Whereas with ours, we buy things good quality, and so therefore it should over the long term it will save you money, and it'd be more for big
Mm-hmm.
milestone gifts like anniversaries, bridesmaids, big events where people are willing to spend that a little bit extra.
Yeah. Does gifting make the business more resilient to the economy changes and shifts?
I think a little bit, yeah, because for example, people for birthday gifts is something that always is going to be around. Christmas gifting, especially, is something that even in a challenging economy, people are still buying Christmas gifts. People are still buying anniversary gifts. They're still having weddings, wedding gifts, bridesmaid gifts. So that positioning makes it a little bit easier than someone just
Mm-hmm.
purchasing for themselves. It's more around someone would be looking for something, a gift for someone else. So I think it does help a little bit.
Okay. Have you changed your messaging at all in response to economic shifts?
In terms of the messaging, um, no, I think we just reiterate around making sure it's clear that we're sort of in the demi-fine sector. So we've got jewelry that's going to last. So it's not something we need to buy a gift and then 6 months later you're going to need to buy again and again. It's something that's there for the long term, and educating customers about the materials that we use, because I think a lot of customers don't know necessarily what's the difference between the thickness of the plating of gold, and that can really affect how long a piece lasts. So making sure that's clear, educating the customer, and doing some informational reels and videos, content to show the customers in an entertaining way.
Sure. And okay, understood. Uh, good response, good take. Um, let's talk a little bit more about one of the challenges slash focuses for 2026 that you've got for the company, and this is AI. You once said that AI will fundamentally change the game of how the businesses operate, how you personally operate your business. Can you walk us through your thinking and how it's going to change it?
Yes, I think we're in sort of, you have a lot of revolutions over time. You know, you have the agricultural revolution, the industrial revolution, and right now I think we're in the AI revolution, which is just in the early stages, which I think as a business owner is certainly a big opportunity. Used in the right way, I think it's going to allow you to be a lot more effective with your time. And so trying to, any task that is done more than once can now be automated with an AI. So I think it's just about
Mm-hmm.
outsourcing most of those tasks and learning the language. Like it's sort of a whole new language, working with sort of your these different chat GPTs, Geminis, learning how to get the best output, the right prompts, and using it in the right
Mm-hmm.
way. So we
Mm-hmm.
use it on our, for example, for SEO, it's very useful.
Okay.
For imagery, it's starting to get really good. For video, it's starting to get really strong. Any kind of messaging. And as time goes
Mm-hmm.
on, I think it will be useful for taking on sort of broader tasks. You'll have sort of more, they'll have more agency where you'll be able to actually tell them what your outcome is that you want, and it will be able to actually do more planning. Um, so I think actually for the business owner, it's a big opportunity. I think it will definitely change for the employee. It's going to be create a lot of challenges around. You need to make sure you're adding value somewhere along the line
Mm-hmm.
as the AI is getting
Mm-hmm.
smart, and it's only going to get much smarter. So making sure you're AI proof as the um, employers, I think that's going to be a big shift.
Still, you gotta like, as an employee, like I'm always thinking about. I always think about how my employees can be valuable and continue being valuable with the AI coming in play. But at the same time, I personally I'm a big fan of AI and kind of like test it all the time. So I feel that AI, and you let me know what your thoughts are. I feel that the AI is far from being the tool that can completely replace humans as of right now, at least, because it can very easily supplement what you're doing. It can easily add a lot of value to what you're doing, but still like the overall human thinking and like long-term thinking and contextual thinking, all of that is still super valuable, especially for the senior level employees in the team, because like if they're senior level, they can quickly find what to automate in their day to day, but at the same time, their thinking is what is where the value is. And then this is something that is very hard to fit into the AI context wise, especially on the high volume levels. What do you think about this?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that in terms of the AI. Sometimes, if and also if you put in like rubbish in, rubbish out. So if you put something in, the AI will then not necessarily give you the good output out. So I think it does require someone with that experience to sense check everything that's coming through AI. There's a lot of that contextual understanding. Like you said, I completely agree with that. Needs someone with more experience to be like, oh, actually, I don't think what it said's quite right. And I think you do need to give the AI a bit of pushback. But over time, I think it's learning every day, right? Because senior people are giving it that pushback and it will be taking it inside its algorithm and then starting to learn what is
Hmm.
and isn't working. So I think, yeah, right now you have to take a lot of it with a pinch of salt. And it's better for sort of the lower value tasks. But for the sort of these higher tasks, like you said, the experience, it's not at the level where it can replace that, and it does need someone to be sense checking everything.
What do you think are the first processes that every founder should automate?
In terms of what should be automated, well, essentially there's a lot of agents, essentially like personal assistants. I think any job that can be done, sort of emails or admin tasks, anything that's not super important. I think those lower level tasks can be automated all across the board. I mean, I use it on
Hmm.
my business for any written work. It's really good for that. And I'm still learning about how to. There's these agents that have come through that seem to specialize in different areas, whether that be personal assistant or accounting or what have you. Learning
Hmm.
how to do that, but it's a whole
Sure.
new. I think it's a whole new language. So I think you have to. There's a bit of
Pro
learning on both sides.
Kind of like language of prompt engineering and like agents and agentic approach in general.
Yeah, completely. Because I think a lot of the time um, it takes a while to learn how to get the best out of the ChatGPT, the different AIs. Sometimes it doesn't give you quite what you want, or it doesn't have that, as you said, the contextual understanding. So learning how
Hmm.
to get in these lists of prompts that will be really valuable to you. Once you found a few and you know they work good for you, you have them in your bank, and then continue adding to them. Um, is it yeah constant learning process, which I'm trying to. I think there is a big opportunity, so I'm trying to get as involved as much to learn the language and how it's working.
Okay. In 5 years, what do you think, will feel outdated in how we run e-commerce today, with AI being in place, of course?
In terms of what's going to feel outdated, well, I think yeah, a lot of in e-commerce, a lot of the advertising tools generally have gone through agencies, but now those kind of marketing tools um, could be done by an AI. I'm getting a lot of, for me, I'm always looking at different ways to market it, and now I'm getting a lot of marketing in my feed from AIs that say, look, we can crunch the data a lot quicker, we can be much more effective. So I think anything around marketing, the AI could become really really valuable.
Okay. 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 Interesting. Now back to your culture. As I think it's one of those most interesting topics that I wanted to uncover. As you clearly stated that you used to work 3 days a week before, with 4 days um, for the rest afterwards. Why is that? Where is it coming from?
In terms of the what you mean in terms of how many hours a day I work?
Like basically days a week in a way, because I feel like I heard or read it somewhere that you used to work 3 days a week, and then there were 4 days in a row that you had rest to kind of like to recover to make sure that you do not burn out, etc.
Yeah, so something along those lines. Yeah, in terms of I'm big into flow states, like working in high intensity bursts. And I think once you do that, it's hard to maintain that for a long period of time. And if you do and you don't rest, you're ultimately going to burn out. So I'm a proponent of spending time and making sure that your body is in the best possible place. So I always go to, I lift weights before work every day. I go for a walk. I usually start work about 10 o'clock, and then I do a high intensity burst for about 3 hours from 10 until 1.
Hmm.
And then I'll do some lower level work in the afternoon. And then in at 3:30, I might be on the tennis court. And for me, that's actually like a recovery. I know it's a
Hmm.
nice thing to have, but I think it's actually necessary because a lot of times otherwise you do burn out. So I kind of see it a bit more like working almost like the same way an athlete would. Like they'd go and, a tennis player, he can't train. If he
Yeah.
overtrains, then he's going to have injuries. And I think, well, now we're in a culture a little bit where people are working a lot and they are feeling a lot of burnout. And I think that's not necessarily the best way to get um, the best return on your time. I think, especially as the business grows, it's more about thinking, being able to think clearly. So I like to spend 20 to 30 minutes a day just reading. And for me, that's a really valuable
Okay.
time to be thinking about the sort of broader concepts and rest the brain. And then the next day, ready to go um, at high intensity. But sometimes, yeah, you do have, like right now is a busy period, so I'm working a bit more. But yeah, ultimately, um, I think it's good to have build in those rests. And I'm more proponent of splitting out your work life every day. So I don't mind, for example, working on the weekend as well, like an hour here, an hour there. I enjoy it,
Hmm. Hmm.
but not, yeah,
Not a
not so
lot.
much. Yeah, not so
Yeah.
much. I think you can
What?
almost be working a lot, but not achieving that much. I find personally, for the first 3 hours when I'm going really hard, I'm getting a good return on my time, and then afternoon my level drops. So I feel like I'm always better taking a total time out and then coming back better the next day. What do you think, Jack, about that?
Yeah, the same here. I have pretty much all the time. I have very intense Monday to Wednesday, whereas Thursday and Friday are usually a little bit less hectic. Like for instance, even today, I have like 10ish or so meetings planned, like including podcasts, etc. So it's like I do have very intense days during the first half of the week. Then Thursday and Friday are usually like slow in pace. I do also go a lot into sports. I do 3 times. Like I obviously not do not do that every day, but 3 days a week for the gym, and then another 2 days for tennis is what my usual schedule is. And then I'm a big fan of trying to stick to the schedule, just because like if you do not do that with consistency, there is no point for you in doing that. So that's my take. And then obviously to emphasize the point of you doing some work over the weekends, I don't mind doing it either. So I do really, most of the time I try to find myself in a position that, hey, I mean, I'm fine doing a little bit of work here and there, like 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the afternoon, like Sunday or Saturday. And then it's like it's very productive time, because if there is nobody who distracts me from doing the work, like there is no um, colleague, there is no partner, there is no wife, and then I just basically sit in front of my laptop or computer, and then I spend 30 minutes on work. It's very productive because you can manage to get it done much quicker, just because you have had enough rest. You have a lot of energy, and then you enjoy doing that at the end of the day. Just because we are founders, we worry about our business, and then when we worry about business, most of the time, if you enjoy what you're doing, most of the time you will enjoy doing a little bit of extra work over the weekends, and then that's productive work. So from my perspective, I do follow what you're saying, and my typical week schedule is pretty much the same, pretty much what I've just described.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I think yeah.
But
I'll carry on.
yeah. So I wanted to kind of like to continue on the topic, to ask you a question. Why do you think founders burn out most of the time?
That's a good question. Um, yeah, I think a lot of them are working around the clock. I think especially when you're first starting, um, the buck always falls with you. Even as I know, you're growing the team. Ultimately, you're the one that's responsible. If you start having people, you're the one that's responsible for making sure payroll is there, or you're the one that's ultimately everything, the responsibility feels with you. So it's not so easy to come out and finish work and then you're done. It's like when you're in the shower, you're probably thinking about how to improve the business, or even if I'm in the gym, I'm thinking, okay, I'm always thinking about how to do things better. So I think it can be hard to switch off. I especially found this
Hmm.
first couple of years of doing the business, I found it hard to switch off. And I think you need to implement structure to allow yourself some separation where you actually say, okay, now is you do put the off switch. For me, I have a garden office, so that's very helpful for me because when I'm in there, I'm
Hmm.
working. If I come back to the house, then I can compartmentalize. But I think a lot of people now, if they're
Hmm.
working from home, you're doing your bootstrapping, doing your business from home to start with, it can be really hard to mentally switch off and it can become overwhelming.
Yeah, most of the time. And then, I mean, I do recommend if you're bootstrapping, if you're doing this like out of your pocket as well, it's most of the time you gotta start from home, but then eventually you need to figure out how to find a place for yourself where you'll be alone. You'll not be distracted from some daily routine or your family or whatever that is. And then at the end of the day, you will be a lot more productive doing the work somewhere else, even if it's a little bit less than 8 hours a day. At the same time, 6 hours a day in complete silence is much more productive than 8 hours at home, for the most part, based on what I've heard and seen amongst the fellows.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's amazing what you can do in a short space of time when you're focused. I think as a business owner, you're thinking about things differently too. There's usually just a few tasks that you know are going to move the needle for your business. And
Hmm.
most things are noise. So I actually find removing most tasks and outsourcing those and really just focusing on the really important ones. It's sort of it's that 80-20 rule. If you can just get those top 20% tasks, really nail those,
Yeah.
um, that's what's really going to drive the business forward. And you need that peace and quiet, that clarity of thought to do that.
What's your model for sustainable productivity?
Sustainable. So I say I'm quite proponent of work-life balance. So
Hmm.
yeah, I go to the gym every morning, and then I go for a walk. That sets me up good for the day, not to just sort of get up and be checking my emails straight away.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then I have I'm big into structure, so I have my working every day in the morning, um, and having that balance. I find if you have that, if I'm not going to be in the tennis court at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the work will get done. Um,
Hmm.
so having things separate, a little space out. I have two young kids, so that's a thing I do every
Cool.
day. I spend the evenings with them. That gives a bit of normalcy in the craziness of entrepreneurship. So between 6 and 8,
Hmm.
that's where I'm spending my time, and that can keep you grounded as well. So I think
Yeah,
having
for
that
sure.
that separation and not just going uh, just 100% all in, because like we said, that can lead to burnout if you do that. So building in a bit of structure.
Cool. Sounds good. If we look in a year time, or let's look at the end of 2026, and we speak again, what would success mean to you or look like to you?
Yeah, opportune time for this question because I've just changed my mind on how I do goals. Because I used to do sort of revenue goals, or I want to lift X amount in the gym, or like metric goals. But I realized they
Hmm.
didn't really motivate me. They didn't really work. So this year I actually did.
Hmm.
I don't usually do mood boards because you think that's a bit airy fairy. But this year I
Yeah.
have done. For me, it's about getting up every day and enjoying my day. So
Hmm.
it's more around. So for example, I want to build a team. I want to have an office, and um, so that's one thing. I've got a picture on my mood of a table tennis table because I want to have an
Hmm.
office with a table tennis table, and that's sort of what I enjoy, like having my team, motivating them every day, working with them towards the goals. Um, so it more makes me think about how the day to day will look, and then
Hmm.
on top of that, uh, yeah, just we're in an expansion phase, just expansion internationally. I yeah want to get this expansion into Europe, start onboarding with new retailers, and building our own brand out. That would be success for me. Getting more people to the website. That's the real drive. So seeing that come through, I'm really excited for that.
How do you put the expansion to like to Germany, for instance, on the mood board though?
Well, so I'd have the retailers I guess I want to work with. So I have a list of retailers in the UK that I want to work with, and then in um, Germany, I'll have the list of the ones I want to work with. And also, it'd be more symbolic that if I'm working with Europe, it would be with a warehouse. So I will then, for me right now, it's quite difficult to go on holiday because I have to
Hmm.
do the orders. So it's more if I have someone in the warehouse doing the orders, it'll be the next stage of scaling up because I'm in the phase where I'm going to have to remove myself from the day to day, release that
Hmm.
control.
Hmm.
So it's more the thought, okay, then I'll be able to go on, go on holidays, have that time, which right now is quite tricky. So I guess it's that more sort of symbolic picture of the warehouse. So it's not just going to be me dispatching the orders; it'll be the next stage where someone else will be doing that. That'll be the first phase of me um, outsourcing this, so I can start to take a more come out of the day to day.
Sounds good. Is it like your first year doing these mood boards instead of the metrics?
Yeah, it's my first year. Yeah, because before I
Interesting.
wasn't too into it. I did always do goal setting, but yeah, they were more metric based, and I realized they didn't motivate me day to day. And also, once you've got to a certain level of success or what have you, I think for me, what's important is more like being happy, right? It's not, you're not always just trying to push for productivity or what are you trying to strive for? Ultimately, you're trying to strive for happiness. And so for me, it's how my day to day looks. Like, am I going to go to bed really excited for the next day? And what does the day look like for me? And really, like envisioning in my head, how do I want the day to look? And then backtracking from there. Because I realize I don't necessarily want to grow the business as much as possible. Um,
Hmm.
Maybe you want to have, like for me, maybe I want to, I'm not interested in getting investment right now. For example, I like to bootstrap it, do it myself, do a slower growth strategy, build my team. Um, so just clarifying in my mind, like exactly what my goals are that really matter, first of all, and then yeah, backtracking, and then that's I'm finding this is much more motivational for me because now I can just see it in my head. Like for example, I can see the office in my head, I can see everything very clearly, and you can easily kind of backtrack to make sure that's going to happen. Whereas if you just say,
Hmm.
okay, I'll just this is how much revenue we're doing now, I want to do this amount of revenue. If it doesn't change your day-to-day habits or your actions or what you're going to do tomorrow, then I don't think it's for me. It wasn't that effective. I don't know. What do you think, Jack, on that? Are you into like mood boards or these goal striving things? Or
I've been doing goals for like 9 years now, and it's always been metrics. So for me, I separate things. So there are like metrics for myself. So I list out the goals for myself that I want to achieve, like sports, culture, discipline, books. I don't know, like financial goals, like family related goals, etc., etc. So this is one stream of things that I've been doing for years now. And then the other one is company related goals, and there we are talking about like a breakdown of things, and we separate them into like general like directions. So one would be like the operations, the other one will be like growth, the other one will be like department based, the other one will be marketing or sales based, etc., etc. And then we basically like we have like high level goals, then we put them on our Asana boards, and then we break them down into the action items. And then action items, like, so goals are split into action items, and then they are split into the time frames, and then time frames are like 3, 6 and 12 months. And then we basically put goals into the specific buckets of the time frame. And then for instance, we want to, I don't know, open a new bank account or open entity in a brand new country for us just because of X. And then we basically like that's the general goal, but then does it mean in terms of the action plan? Or we want to open a company in Ukraine and then apply for the governmental program just so we are able to protect our men from serving, right? And then just so the clients, they do not really have to worry because we do have the setup where the government protects our people, and that there will be no chance they'll be like requested, right? So And like in order for us to do all of those milestones, we basically break them down into action items, assign them to the right people with the timeline, and then they basically report upon the task. And that's how we do that. With my personal goals, though, it's like a standalone list. It's like a separate things of what I have to do, and it's a lot less structured. So it's more of a like, hey, let me just look it up once a month, see what I've got achieved, cross it off, and then that's it. That's basically how it works for me.
Oh, that's good. That's interesting to hear. I think you're already way ahead of the average person there because you've got your goal, then you have backtracked and you've got it all down to the actual day-to-day plan. So I think that's really
Yeah.
valuable and that's much more likely to happen because a lot of from what I see, people will have the where they're at now, then they have the goal, but then there's that disconnect between how do you get from A to B. But
hmm
you've like outlined it there very clearly. You've obviously thought about this a lot and refined it. So that's kind of you're probably ahead of the game, me, in terms of how you're laying it
Yeah.
out.
I mean, structure-wise, company is doing much better. I'm trying to like I'm the guy. I also have a partner, but my second guy, he's not. He's more of a vision, like and the delivery, whereas I'm more about the structure. So, but I do have so much that I put into the company structure-wise that I do not have enough energy left for myself, for my personal goals. So sometimes, I mean, when for the company, like if we list out 45 goals for the year, we typically cross off like 38, 40-ish goals from the entire list, which is a very good
Yeah, very
progress.
good.
But then when it comes to personal goals, out of 40, I maybe cross off like maybe 10 to 15 a year. But I've been doing like my personal goals for like 9 years. So my Asana board is from 2017. So from 2017, every single year I've got that goal list of tasks that are kind of like personal tasks that I've been doing. For the company, it's been the third year that we established the goals, but the previous two, it's been great so far. So
Yeah, that's
um, that's
that's
how
really
it
good the
is.
way we've done it and you're hitting your goals. I find it because obviously like you're very busy with your company and then so like the personal stuff can fall by the wayside. So having it as frictionless as possible. So for
That's true.
me, for example, I drop my daughter off at the nursery and that's in my gym. So the
Oh,
nursery is
okay.
in the gym and so then there's no choice. I have to go to the gym and then
hmm
my tennis court is near the post office. So then it's like, okay, that's trying to do it so there's no friction because I think when you're busy, like yourself, you have lots of meetings, but you have something planned, like a dinner planned in the evening. Then you're like, oh, okay, I'm feeling a bit tired today. It's easy to perhaps cancel on your personal plans because it's less structured. So yeah, I found trying to remove friction as much as possible to make sure that it's just very easy to integrate the personal things when you're very short on time. Like imagine, sounds like you have all these meetings. It's hard to then um, prioritize your personal stuff as well. Otherwise, you might get burnt out from that.
That's true. That's true. Chris, the last one. Can you recommend a book for our audience?
But okay, so I guess yeah, there's two books. Okay, one book I just read is Shoe Dog, about the founder of
Should I-
Nike. Have you read that?
Okay. No, I haven't.
Really amazing book about the how the Nike was born, and it's from the first person view, and you see sort of
Okay.
the challenges he went through, and it kind of I see a lot the sort of these big founders, you see them as kind of demigods, and you think they're on this other level, but when you read
hmm
his pains, his challenges, you can relate to it. He had a lot of trainers in his flat at all times. It was a mess. He spent a lot of, had many issues with suppliers, and then different levels. But then, yeah, you can relate to these things, and you realize that actually they're not necessarily smarter than you, but they've just tried and failed more than you have.
hmm
That's one, and then the
Love
other
that.
one is just James Clear, Atomic Habits, quite a popular one. This is really good for making sure if you have habits you're trying to get rid of, how you can introduce better habits to make the most out of your day, make the habits stick. That was the first book that was really effective for me when I was trying to introduce new habits.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you so much for the offer. And Chris, I love the combination of discipline and action that you bring to the business and to your personal life. I like how it stands out that you first had to manage the sales, then the systems, then the team, now the international growth. So it was a pleasure meeting you and speaking with you. So many insights, so many good thoughts, and food for thought for anyone who is listening to the podcast. For anyone who is listening, check out harfi.co.uk for the jewelry if you want to buy one. I'll leave all of the links down below in the description, along with a link to Chris' profile on LinkedIn. Chris, thank you so much.
Yeah, enjoyed the chat very much. Thanks, Jack, for having me on the channel.